So what did you do with your Christmas door wreath? Has it gone straight into the bin? Have you taken it apart and recycled it and put it in the compost heap? Or like me, has it found a resting place on your garden shed door? In today's video, I'm going to show you how to take your Christmas DIYs and to give them a little bit of a makeover to make them suitable for your winter decor to take you through into spring. Hello, my name's Julie. I'm from Julie Davis Flower Workshops and Flower Start, the online flower arranging classes. Now let's get this door wreath off my shed door and I'll show you what I'm going to do with it. And don't forget to stay on to the end of the video because I'm going to show you 2 more projects and making 3 in total. The first thing I'm going to do is to take off my tartan bow. So it should just be a matter of digging through and finding the wires that I use to attach it in place, untwist them, and then give the bow a gentle tug. So I can put that aside for next year. It's a little bit crumpled. Probably what I'm going to do is take the bow totally apart and then wind the ribbon back so it's lovely and smooth and I can use it for something else next Christmas. I quite often leave my door wreath on my patio table. I think it's lovely to look at, that lovely lush green foliage, and just sees me through to those springtime days. But of course it's got that hole in the middle, so if you have got any pot plants or spring flowering bulbs, I would put those inside. So what I've got here are a pair of mini Christmas trees I planted up and had them indoors. I'm going to show you a little DIY for those later on. Or you might like to use your door wreath as a collar for your pot plants. I'll have to see whether it'll fit over any of the tubs I've got in my garden. I think possibly this tub is going to be a little bit too small, but you get the idea. It just gives a really lovely finish to your containers. But what I'm actually going to do is to hang my door wreath back on my front door, and before I do that I'm going to spray paint it, just a little touch of white spray paint to give it a frosty look, and then hang it up with a beautiful soft blush cappuccino covered silk satin ribbon, and then it'll look beautiful on my door as a winter door wreath rather than being a festive Christmas wreath. But can you see all these pine needles here? Before I get out my cloth to do my spray painting, I'm going to save these pine needles, and this is something I have seen my friend Mandy do over on Instagram. Mandy's a herbalist. He's given me a really great idea to use these leftover pine needles. And all I'm going to say at this point is bother, bother, bother. The segment I filmed showing you how to make a flavoured scented vinegar to use with your homemade cleaning supplies, never recorded. But if you'd like to make your own homemade scented flavoured vinegar, this is what you do. I took that handful of pine needles, put them in a screw top jar. I then had some leftover dried oranges, so if you've been using dried oranges on your door wreath, and even cinnamon sticks as well too, take this off your door wreath, put them in the jam jar as well, and then add in white vinegar, and then you let it steep over time, and next time you're ready to make your homemade cleaning materials, you can use that as your vinegar, and you won't need to add essential oils to disguise the smell of the vinegar. I'm going to be using my Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch, but whatever white paint you've got to hand will do the job. So I'll give this a really good shake. I'm working outdoors, so it's a really well ventilated space, and I can either drench my door wreath so it comes out totally white, or just give it a little bit of a frosted appearance. Here goes. Oh, doesn't that look beautiful? It just really looks like the snow has fallen. We don't get much snow where I live in the southeast of England. That really makes me smile seeing that. It's always tempting when you've got your spray paint out just to absolutely go for it. But I I think I'm going to stop here just for that light frosting. Having given my door wreath a little frosting of white paint, I'm now going to put a ribbon on it, and I'm going to use this gorgeous satin, obviously an offcut there. I'm going to use this gorgeous satin ribbon, so I will leave a link in the description box if you're interested in sourcing your own similar ribbon. It looks absolutely gorgeous, really luxurious, and definitely not Christmassy, but it does look really, really wintry. So I'm going to tie a loop around my door wreath because the hook on my front door is a little bit too high, so I like it to hang a little bit lower. So I might just do a plain loop to hang the door wreath and not do a fancy bow. We'll have to wait and see. Or perhaps I should be super fashionable and leave 2 tails at the end of my door wreath. And I don't know whether you saw the video I posted when I did a safari tour of door wreaths around town where I live. It's really fashionable at the moment to use quite a narrow ribbon on your door wreaths and having these tails at the end. So I'm going to use what I've got and might add in tails of my satin ribbon just to flutter a little bit in the breeze. So I've created a little hanging loop for my door wreath, taking my ribbon, and what I did was fed it underneath the door wreath to see how much ribbon I needed to get the right length, and then I cut it once I was happy. So I never guess before I start. Always hold it in place and mock up your fixing before you commit to cutting your ribbon. And I always use my really sharp fabric scissors to do this. I then tied the 2 ends together with a knot and then shuffled it round. So instead of having a knot at the top, it's at the back of the door wreath, and just fed the ribbon through around my greenery so it's hidden a little bit and not too obvious. And that's going to be the perfect length to hang my wreath from my front door, making it a lovely wintry welcome to my home instead of a Christmas festive welcome. Now what I'm going to have to do now is try and take it through the house without knocking or shaking, because you can see every time I move the door wreath the pine needles drop. But it should last quite a few weeks outside. I've got a north facing front door with a porch over the top, so it is quite sheltered. My theme for Christmas this year was quite woodsy, quite forest-like. So on my mantelpiece I had these real-life mini trees which I'd potted up into these Christmas mugs that I'd thrifted. Now the problem with these real planted trees is that they don't like being indoors because they're indoor trees, and they're starting to get a little bit crispy even though I was watering them. So what I'm going to do is put them outdoors, and I can't do that in these ceramic mugs because as soon as we get a frost the mugs are going to crack open. So I've had a look around for other containers I've got, and I've got a galvanised mug and also a little enamel dish which I've thrifted over the years. I think actually I've got a second one of these but I couldn't quite find it. So what I'm going to do is to take apart my Christmas tree, repot it, and then I can enjoy it outdoors. And I thought, while I'm here, I've been watching videos from Linda Varta, the garden designer, and she does all sorts of videos about what she thrifts and garden design and how she decorates her home. And I noticed that one of the Christmas tours that she featured of a friend of hers, she was talking about topiary plants. So I thought, these plants are probably on their last legs. Why don't I repot them and have a go at doing some topiary and end up with some lollipop-shaped trees? And hopefully if I keep those outdoors, they'll rejuvenate, and then I can bring them indoors for decoration, but just for limited periods of time. Obviously outdoor plants don't like being indoors, it's just too warm and dry for them. So here goes, wish me luck. So I'm going to try and save this grit here that I was using as a top dressing and use that as drainage at the bottom of these containers. And then ease out the plant. There's more grit in the bottom there. And you can see it has put on some root growth, so I haven't been totally cruel to it. I'm going to knock off some of the soil. Put that down inside the container. Finish up with a top dressing of the pebbles again, just for a cleaner look. And then, to to get my scissors out and start shaping the tree. So I am not a gardener, so if you do want proper gardening advice about how to make your own topiary from a living tree, you'll need to do your own search on YouTube and satisfy yourself you're doing it right. But my husband's quite a keen gardener. I do sometimes listen to what he says. I'm going to cut out the top stem here, and that will tell the plant to bush out sideways. So if I create a stem and cut out the top, hopefully what I have got will eventually bush up. So cut out the tip, and then cut out the stems from the bottom to reveal the straight trunk of the tree. Little dead bit. It's looking slightly naked, but I wanted the tree trunk and then this bushy bit here, so I might take a little bit more out of the top just to try and shape that round a bit. So what do you reckon? Did I make a huge mistake? Before and after, what would you do? Let me know in the comments. But for me, I'm just thinking this has gone really crispy from being indoors, and if I want the plant to survive, it needs to come outdoors, and I might as well give it a go. But perhaps I should plant this one up and keep it as is in the blue tub, and have this one, and I can compare how they get on. Now my next Christmas to winter makeover involves this. What on earth is it, I can hear you say? This is something I picked up from the charity shop for, no price on it. I think it was about £1 or £1.50. And what attracted it to me was not the ultra ugly foliage and tatty decorations. They haven't been fixed on very well. And in fact, if you do want to know how to fix on pine cones to your decorations, I will link a video in the description underneath this one, and see if I can try and put it in the cards up above. So what attracted me to this was the fact it had this little candle holder here, and I can see that it's a metal ring base with the candle cup hanging in the top. Now, more and more when in floristry and flower arranging, we're trying to be more natural and to move away from the plasticky and the false things which aren't very good for the environment. So my idea was I would take off all the bits of greenery, definitely all the decorations, but it'd give me a base that I could attach a candle and then have a festive arrangement on my Christmas table. But Christmas is long gone now, so I'm going to see how I can adapt this to enjoy candlelight in these cold winter months. So I'll probably keep the pine cones and put them in my box up in the loft for next year, but I think I'm probably definitely going to get rid of these little bits of ribbon. These haven't been fixed on very well at all, but at least it makes it easier to pull apart. I reckon that looks better already. So the question now is, do I take off the greenery here or use that to help me to add in some fresh bits of green? Let's see what we've got first of all. So this was what I was after, the round ring with the candle holder, that I could just set a candle safely in amongst my placed pieces of natural greenery. So it's always a good idea, if you are using artificial greenery, is to fluff it all up so it doesn't look so flat and uninviting. And then doing that, discover that there's lots of metal spikes. You don't want those bits in your arrangement. One very long piece of pine coming out at the side, was a bit peculiar. So what I'm trying to do with a naturally made arrangement, you go for a diamond shaped footprint, so that really long piece needs to come out that end. So very long at the sides, short back to front, and then a natural grading of your plant material across the top. And then fingers crossed, yeah, my candle fits perfectly. I just need to peel off that label and go and find myself some fresh greenery to make a mini arrangement I can put on my kitchen table. And then to add in some natural greenery. So I can cut off these side shoots and make myself more stems, and then slide them in place, or even using the branches of the fake greenery to twist and hold the greenery in place. It gives it a really good base. So a piece in that end, and then balance it with a piece at the other end, and continue working. And to finish off, I reckon it needs a little bit of textural contrast. So these are hydrangeas from my garden, and they've dried out, but they've just dried out as they would do naturally in the garden, and I haven't retained any of their pinky colour. So what I might do, as I've still got my spray cloth out and my white paint, is just zhuzh it up a little bit with the white paint. Hold the stem in my hand and I won't get paint on my hands. And just a light touch, just to give it a really frosty look. Cut down the florets and then tuck them in. Now's probably a good time to mention that I'm filming this video in collaboration with Sandra at the Chauvin's Nest, and I'll leave a link to her channel in the description underneath my video, and also the playlist, so you can see what the other creators who've been collaborating with Sandra have been up to. Well, I must admit, as I look in the table in front of me, you certainly don't think Christmas, and I think the makeover I've done is a subtle, understated look for Christmas. Let me know in the comments which is your favourite project. The transformation of my Christmas story, my little topiary tree project and its big sister, and then my very understated table arrangement. I've kept it quite narrow, not too long, so I can put it on my kitchen window and light the candle when I make my first cup of tea in the morning. That's all for me for now. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to give it a like and leave me a comment. What was your favourite project? I'll see you next time.